Hey guys, Corell Cooper here with On the Black, and I'm joined by Dave Doyle of Mets Report for our weekly chat. How you doing, Dave?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. So first, did you get a chance to watch any of today's first spring training game?
Well, I didn't get to watch any, but I did get to hear some on FAN today, and I'll tell you, it was like an oasis in this winter to hear some baseball going on, even with Eddie Coleman's monotone play-by-play. I was still really loving it today.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm not going to take anything sort of out of this first game, but it's funny because I watched the whole game and I was tweeting about it, and it was like every time there was a double play, whether a double play by the Mets or a double play by the Braves, I would be thinking to myself, is that a play that Daniel Murphy can make or not?
Probably not.
Yeah. So I mean that's really my only takeaway from today. That and besides the fact that it ended in a tie, which that's where it's a spring training game.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Yep. So I hate to kind of bring this up and talk about it, but obviously with the reports yesterday that the Mets borrowed 25 million from Major League Baseball. Me, quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about the Mets' financial position, but it just seems like it's something that we're just going to, no matter how well or bad the team plays, it's something that we're probably going to have to deal with and hear about all season long. And
Yeah.
I just want to get your initial reaction to when you heard the news about that the Mets borrowed money from Major League Baseball.
Well, I took away two things from this, and we've heard about this since for several months. I think since October of last year or
Mm-hmm.
so, that we knew there was a problem. And the two things that I took away from this are number one, that, and number two, that the Wilpons have not been completely forthcoming about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on here. So they've known since last November that they had this secret loan in place
Mm-hmm.
from Major League Baseball, and several times they've spoken to the press at press conferences. Both Jeff and Fred spoke to the media when they arrived in Port St. Lucie, and nothing about this secret loan was mentioned. So, they've talked about this in what we thought was in great detail, but obviously we don't know the whole story. We don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, and I guess the only people that really know are Mets ownership and maybe even Major League Baseball at this point. So I guess we're just going to have to stay glued to this story, and probably more and more information will come out all summer long. So I guess we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Now, switching our attention back onto the field, again, I know today was the first game, but I want to talk a little bit about the Mets bullpen and sort of maybe some of the projections of the guys that might be in that bullpen and kind of get your thoughts. Really specifically, the eighth inning guy. I mean, do you think that Parnell is going to be the eighth inning guy, or you see maybe someone else possibly stepping up there?
I will be shocked if it's not Parnell.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's about as close to a lock for that as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
The one guy, and this probably won't happen, but the one guy that I really like in a bullpen role, and I know Warthen and Terry Collins have both commented on this, is Henry Mejia. Boy, I think he doesn't look like a starter to me. He looks like he could be a great closer. Stuff that he's got,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that Terry Collins said he sees him as a starter, and Dan Warthen said he sees him as a reliever. So I know everybody's got a different opinion on it, but I think he's got the stuff of he could be a great reliever.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm not sold either way yet because I really don't know what type of pitcher he is yet. But,
Yeah.
one thing that I think, and the guys on the broadcast, Gary, Keith, and Ron talked about this today, because he's such a young pitcher, because he has such good stuff, the Mets really need to decide what they're going to do and leave him in that spot. And don't get into this situation that the Yankees got in with Jabba Chamberlain of flip-flopping him back and forth because, Ron Darling made the point today that he thinks that, what the Mets did with him last year about starting him out as a relief pitcher, sending him down, then he got hurt, and then he was a starter. That kind of set him back a year. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know whether he should be a reliever or a starter, but whatever the Mets do, I just hope that they make a decision and stick with that decision. So
I agree.
yeah. So want to talk a little bit about the bench too as well, because I was looking over the Mets roster, and I gotta be frank. I mean, I'm not really high on what their bench projects to be. And maybe that's because I just don't know some of these players, and second base is up in the air. So depending on whether Murphy's a starter or not, he might be one of the guys coming off the bench. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling about maybe what the bench projects to be right now?
Well, I think Willie Harris is going to be a lock too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He can play some infield. He can play some outfield. He's one of those guys. He kind of reminds me of like a Super Joe McHugh.
Yeah.
Great. He's great when he comes off the bench, and he's that spark plug, like the Andy Chavez type guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's a lock. Murphy, I also think I think there's going to end up being some sort of platoon, and Murphy's going to be in the mix at second base, and probably spending a lot of time coming off the bench too. So I think he's going to be there. After that, I think you're looking at Hairston is going to be there too. And then it gets real dicey. And, I guess you could probably say that Chin Lung Hu is probably going to be there.
Yeah, he actually had a good at-bat today. He had a nice at-bat.
Yeah, so I think he'll be there. And, a guy who I want to mention who I don't like off the bench at all, but I like a lot as a player is Nick Evans. And, a young guy like that, I like his bat a lot. I think he's got real good potential, but I don't like, young guys like that coming off the bench. And he's got nowhere to play. He's not going to play first base. He's not going to play third. He's not going to play in the outfield regularly. He's just got nowhere to go. So his only role would be really a true pinch hitter. And that's not right to do to somebody at his stage of his career.
Right. Yeah, and Evans has always been kind of a guy that at least Mets fans that I know they kind of like, but I think you said a good thing there that he really just doesn't have a place to play. So, it might just be best for him to just still be in the minors and where he can play every day. So, I mean, I guess we'll see what the Mets do. So, but hey, Dave, I want to thank you again for taking a few minutes today to chat with me, and again for those of you out there, Dave and I will be doing these chats every week throughout the season. Recapping the week that was and looking forward to the week ahead for the Mets. So you guys look out for these videos from Dave and I. Talk to you soon, Dave.
Thank you.
Alrighty.